Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saint Misbehavin', the podcast about saints from people who are not. I am your host, Matthew Jadorn, and I am joined, as always, by the adjunct professor of theological research of this podcast, Anna Domini. Anna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm now inspired. I think we should try and somehow become a university and then just confer on ourselves the most ridiculous sounding degrees.
No, I think theology is your ridiculous degree that you have.
Yes, especially as if you get above a certain level, you become I think if you get a doctorate, you can be a doctor of divinity, which really does sound very Hogwarts.
It does, yeah. It feels contradictory, it feels like an oxymoron, like a doctor of divinity. It's like a...
Yeah, there's no, it'd be like getting a degree in theological science.
Yeah.
It's just
it's like
you don't want that medicine.
Literally figurative. I don't know.
People listening might not know that you're saying that in a way to demonstrate an oxymoron. They might just think you're super American.
So, yeah.
So you're like, it's literally figurative.
Yeah, exactly. But Anna, how are you this week?
I'm good. I've managed to go outside every day. So
wow.
It's a sign that it's spring.
So. That's good. I'm glad you're getting out and getting some fresh air and exercise, and not just you're still moving in, right? Dealing with move-in stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're almost there. We still need to get a plumber after the great dishwasher flooding incident.
Oh yes, that should be a priority.
But we're currently being harassed by the TV license people because they started sending letters to this house when it first became empty, saying you need to buy a TV license. And so by the time we moved in, the letters were like, you haven't responded to us for 6 months. You need to tell us if you need a TV license or not, or we're gonna send someone around. And then we kept meaning to ring them up and be like, hey, look, we don't need a TV license. But we got a letter yesterday. It had literally been on my to-do list, and then we got a letter yesterday saying we're obtaining a warrant to enter this property.
Really?
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing as well, because we own a television screen, but we literally just use it to plug our iPad in and watch Netflix. We don't have a way of connecting to the actual television signal. But I don't think we have any way of proving that, because if they come into our house, we could just have hidden our cable, and there's no way of proving. Obviously, you're innocent until proven guilty, but I feel like if it were up to a jury, they'd be like, well, they got a TV, so... Because I've been on jury duties, and jurors often do not understand what the requirements are.
So, I mean, that's true. Was it a TV license trial?
No. But as in, so I was on a drug trial, not the kind where you get the drugs.
Yeah. That made it sound like they were were you in the placebo group?
Yeah. No, it was possession with intent to supply, right? And obviously the possession, so this man was found with a load of drugs. And obviously the possession, they didn't really need a trial, I don't think, because...
He had drugs on him.
He had them, So the thing that was in question was the intent to supply, which is basically, it ended up being not guilty because it's impossible to prove beyond reasonable doubt an intent unless someone's literally unless you've got an email saying, yes, I'll be there at this time and I'll give you the drugs.
Or you'd file for a business license for illicit drugs, Steve's drugs. It does seem like you're trying to supply people with drugs now that you've...
Yeah. Well, so basically the evidence was he had quite a lot of drugs and loads of baggies, but his defense was that he was homeless, so he had all his drugs with him and he was trying to wean himself off, which is why he had the baggies to make small portions of the drugs.
I don't know.
Which was a bit fishy, but the point of a jury is to be you have to decide whether the evidence points beyond reasonable doubt to a guilty verdict. And basically there wasn't an overwhelming amount of evidence. But some of the fellow jurors were like, well, I think he looks guilty, which is just great. And someone else was like, well, my life has been touched by drug problems and I don't want that to happen to anyone else, and therefore I think he's guilty. It's that's not what's being asked of you here. You're being asked to say, in this case, weigh up the evidence. And so basically I'm hoping never to go in front of a jury.
Did you vote guilty
no
on
crime
it?
For me, because I feel like I would... Well, I voted not guilty and I argued very strongly, and in the end everyone else voted not guilty.
Like a 12 Angry Men situation.
I'm not saying I'm a hero. That was my saintly thing for this week, even though it happened 4 years ago.
You kept a drug dealer off the streets? That's beautiful. Or kept a drug dealer on the streets? That is a very bad excuse for why you have baggies. It is like, they're like, I'm just going to portion out this heroin. I'm going to have a little bit every day. Also, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like trying to quit drugs by like, well, I'll just put them in this drawer and out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, but then, I mean, I've never been on drugs, but I imagine that you don't think you're most clearly if you are addicted to drugs.
Perhaps.
And if you're a vulnerable homeless person, like, you might not have very good support to help you with that problem. So you do the thing that occurs, which, is probably a bad idea.
I think, and this might disqualify me from all future jury deliberations or whatever, someday this will be replayed in an appeal trial, but but I don't think I could ever, like, short of a violent crime, like somebody was a violent individual, I don't think I could ever, like, send somebody to jail. Yeah. I don't think it's, it's like a drug charge. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, crime is a social construct.
Yeah.
The white-collar crime causes so much worse stuff to happen than petty crime.
Exactly.
I think, there shouldn't be jail for petty crimes. Yeah. I do think violent crime is a different matter.
It's a different matter altogether. I think that's 100% the case. But yeah, that said, I do think you and Danny deserve to go to jail for not paying your TV license because...
Oh, of course. Yeah, that goes
somebody
without
needs
saying,
to pay...
We need to protect our state broadcaster, at all costs.
Somebody needs to be paying for those Don't Tell the Bride episodes, and Gardener's World and all those things. Like, those people don't pay for themselves.
The thing is, like, so I did suggest that we should just get one.
Yeah.
And there aren't really enough programs to make it worthwhile.
Don't you need it to use the BBC iPlayer?
Yes, so we don't watch anything on iPlayer.
Oh.
So we're missing out on stuff, but saving a bit of money. And, like, the fact that there is a Tory in charge of the BBC now, and they're, like, trying to weed out woke content or whatever, it's just like, maybe it tries too hard to be impartial, and therefore we should just let it, die its natural death.
Yeah, but then, I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting very sidetracked.
Yes.
I've actually done more preparation than the level of procrastination we're doing would suggest.
Okay, so Anna, today is April 25th. What is this week's saint?
So this week's saint is also today's saint.
Oh, good.
So since we changed the format, I've still stuck to the old format. I'm not doing it deliberately, but it's quite a big one. It's Saint Mark.
Saint Mark?
Heard of him? Yeah, Saint Mark.
Of the Book of Mark fame? Whoa, that
Probably,
is big hit.
kind of. Big dog. We got the big guns.
One of the big 12.
Yeah. No, the big 4.
One of the big 4 too.
Yeah, gospel writers.
He's part of the 4 and the 12. It's like people who are. It's like teens.
No, there was no disciple. Well, I don't know. I don't think there was a disciple called Mark.
No, I thought all the. No, is he not a disciple?
No. I think there's one called John, but it's definitely a different John.
But there's one called Matthew, and isn't it that Matthew?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was the one that was also called Levi, wasn't he?
Well, this is.
See, I think they're meant to be different. Oh my God, this is great! You've just discovered that the people who wrote the Gospels weren't the 12 disciples.
I did not know that, actually. That is.
We're entertaining and educating.
That's a bit of information that was unknown to me. I just assumed they were all disciples because it seems like those would be the guys you'd go to.
You seem poorly qualified for this podcast.
I am obsessed with saints. I'm not saying I know a lot about them. I'm just
Fair
obsessed
enough.
with the concept.
Cool.
Anyway, so tell me about Saint Mark.
Okay. Well, this week the hagiography, it's going to be more like a puzzle.
Okay.
Because
is it riddles?
There's not like
Ooh.
and solving lots of clues. There's not a real like legend of his life because he's conflated with the guy who wrote the gospel. There's a lot of sort of, and it was 2,000 years ago. There's a lot of like using the evidence from the Bible to try and piece together a picture of who this guy is and that kind of thing. So we don't have like he was born here and these were his parents and this is what he did. The main thing we know is that there is this book. So it's going to be a bit more chaotic than usual, if you can believe it.
Okay. So
brace yourself. So yeah, his dates were 5 AD to today, the 25th of April, 68 AD, maybe. And I'll explain that
5
a bit
AD
later.
to 68 AD.
Yeah.
Okay,
so he was about 62/63.
So oh wait, no, because Christ died in 27 AD, right? Or 30 AD, something like that?
Something like that. I mean, he was actually not... Was he meant to be 30 when he died? But he was actually born before 0.
33. He's meant to be 33 when he died, and I think he's considered...
But he was born in like -5 or something.
Yeah, or -3 or something. Yeah. Anyway.
So, yeah, sorry, what was that? What was your question there?
So, I don't know. So, I was trying to figure out if he would have been contemporary.
Oh, I see. Yeah, probably not. Like, he probably... Well... We'll get into it later. Basically, it's rather, instead of a hagiography, we're just going to try and answer the question, who is Mark?
Okay.
So, in the book of Acts, chapter 12, it talks about John Mark, who is the son of Mary, not that Mary. A different Mary who is a friend of the apostles. That's the 12 guys that you had in your mind. Well, 11, because Judas killed himself. So Mary is this friend of the apostles who has a big house in Jerusalem, and she puts them up in the house, because they're apostles. They don't have much money, I'm guessing. There's probably not a lot of tips in the evangelizing trade. So they stay with Mary when they're in Jerusalem. And John Mark is her son, and he's mentioned as her son in the book of Acts chapter 12, which is when Peter, as in Jesus's favorite disciple, is on the run from jail. He was put in there by Herod, and Herod was planning to kill him, but then angels broke Peter out of jail.
Yeah, smash the state.
Yeah.
I like to think one of the angels intentionally got himself arrested and infiltrated the jail from the inside.
Infiltrating the jail.
Yeah, and then, had a whole plan to get out. Maybe it was like tattooed on his body. Have you ever seen the show Prison Break? That's pretty much what I imagine.
Cool. So. Yeah. Angel Prison Break. We should definitely try and pitch that to Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's mentioned that there's this guy called John Mark, and then...
But that's not our Mark,
it is.
Right? No, that's our Mark.
That's what I was getting at. But he's basically, in the Acts, he's referred to as John Mark, and sometimes just John. But it's assumed that they mean
all
Mark.
The same guy.
Yeah. So they basically, later in this chapter, I think they mentioned that 2 other apostles, Barnabas and Saul, are going to go out and proselytize to the Jews. And they mentioned that John Mark was going to join them. But then in the next chapter, it's like, so John was with Barnabas and Saul. And it's like, wait, so you just forgot the Mark this time. So yeah, that's difficulty number 1 in Who is Mark is what is his name? Is
this like some people, like I prefer to be called Matthew. And I think you call me Matthew.
Yeah.
So you call me Matthew, but like my mom calls me Matt. And
wait, I sometimes call you Matt, though.
Sometimes I call you Matt.
Not really to your face.
Fair. But that's fine, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's just like if people are known by nicknames among other people.
Have I told you, Danny's family call him Dan. And when I'm like round, like when we're staying with his parents or his grandparents, I'll call him Dan. Or I just won't call him anything because I'll feel really awkward about it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like in different fields of their life, right? People know them as different. Like, so the people he works with know him as John, but his mom always calls him Mark John.
Yeah. Like, especially when it's like, when he's in trouble, it's like John Mark's surname, Yeah,
exactly.
I think Mark was like a Greek name and John was a Jewish name, so it was kind of like his 2 like identities as a Jewish Christian, basically. Anyway, so in Acts 13 we learn that John Mark is joining Barnabas and Saul, who are these other apostles, to go and preach to Jews, and John Mark goes along as a helper / intern. And that's mentioned.
He's a trainee apostle.
Yeah, basically. Or, I mean, I guess you could say a scribe, given that he's supposed to have written everything down.
Did he write Acts as well? I guess if he wrote Acts, he would get his name right.
Yeah. I don't know who is... I think it's John that's meant to have written Acts.
But not
John Mark. John. John,
wow.
the gospel.
It was a long time ago. They only had like 6 names.
Yeah, basically. So it's supposedly Luke, who also wrote the Gospel of Luke.
Oh, okay.
Also wrote Acts. So John leaves Jerusalem, presumably with Barney and Saul, to go and help them, and learn the trade, I guess.
Of proselytizing. Of apostolizing, I guess.
Apostolizing,
Yeah,
did you say?
I did it.
Nice. Then in Acts 15, we learn sometime later, Paul said to Barnabas, because Paul was also the name of Saul, "Let us go back and visit the believers in all the towns where we preach the word of the Lord and see how they're doing." Barnabas wanted to take John, also called Mark.
Okay. We'll just pick one. Let's just pick one.
Okay. But I'm just quoting from the Bible here.
It's fine.
But fine. Barnabas wanted to take Mark with them, but Paul did not think it wise because he deserted them in Pamphylia and had not continued with them in the work. So at some point on this trip, Mark actually just decided he'd had enough by the looks of things.
Oh, so at some point, like, Mark is hanging out with them, and then he's in Pamphylia.
No, so when they get to Pamphylia, Mark breaks off from the group.
Right. So they're going on and apostolizing.
Yeah.
They get to Pamphylia. Mark's like,
Fuck
actually,
this.
Yeah, he's like, I met this girl. I'm gonna stick around here and see how it works out.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the way with guys who are traveling and change their names and stuff. They're just very flaky.
So he's like, I'm gonna try my luck here in Pamphylia. You guys hit me up on the way back or whatever.
Yeah, basically. And then sometime later, Saul says, let's go back and revisit all the believers who we first visited. So to do like a follow-up call, I guess. And Barnabas wanted to take Mark with them, but Paul/Saul didn't think that was a good idea because Mark was a deserter, as we previously saw. And they had such a sharp disagreement about it that they parted company.
Whoa, a sharp disagreement. Wait, were knives involved? Somebody got stabbed.
We can only assume.
And Paul got cut.
Yeah, so then Barnabas did take Mark. I don't know where he got him from at this point, where they were.
But they went to Pamphylia. Wait, what was
it?
No,
but this was sometime later, so I don't know, because it was like, let us go back and visit the believers in all the towns where we preached previously.
So wait, did Saul, because it was Saul's idea, right?
Yeah, to go back and do the follow-up.
Mm-hmm. And Barnabas was like, hey, while we're
let's
going
bring
back,
Mark.
Let's get Mark.
Yeah.
And then Saul was like, no. So did Saul then just go do the visits on his own?
No, Barnabas took Mark and they sailed for Cyprus. But Paul took some other guy called Silas and they just left.
This is so confusing because one went to Cyprus and
one was with a guy named Silas.
It is really, really confusing.
Yes. Okay. Well, basically, so what we know about Mark so far is his mum is quite a big dog in the church. Because at this point, the apostles was the church, right?
Right.
That was Christianity. It was small and nascent.
Yeah. Still artisanal.
Yeah. Which goes with the idea of Mark as this like hipster gap year kind of guy. So yeah, he's in Jerusalem. He joins Barney and Saul on their like, what did you call it? Apostolizing.
They're apostolizing.
And they go around, I guess it's the Middle East, roughly, to do their apostolizing. And then, as we've seen, Mark meets a girl in Pamphylia and splits. But Barney is like, no, let's welcome him back. In Colossians, which is a letter, I believe, from Paul to the
Colossians?
the Colossians, yeah.
Not to be confused with the Galatians, who live in an area where it's always a lot wet on the ground.
Which is funny because there is a biblical book called the Galatians, but that's different. That's in the Old Testament. Anyway, so in Colossians, Paul says, "My fellow prisoner Aristarchus sends you his greetings, as does Mark, the cousin of Barnabas." So we learn that the reason Barnabas was so adamant to bring Mark with them was because they were cousins.
Oh, okay. But wait, when were Saul and Mark in jail?
I don't know. I couldn't get much context on this. But at some point he was, and it's thought that Mark may have seen Paul getting like executed. Because Paul was in jail. Because Paul was the Paul of being converted in Damascus, right? That one. You know him?
Sure. Yes, of course.
You sound like no. But he wrote all the letters like Corinthians and Colossians. And
he's the
No,
rock,
that's
right?
Peter.
Oh, well, then I don't know shit about
because
nothing.
Peter is the Greek name for Peter is Petros, which means rock. And that's why Petra in Jordan is like carved out of rock. Anyway, I mean, maybe. This is my very tenuous etymology lesson for you there.
How does petrichor work into that?
Well, isn't petrichor the smell of wet ground?
Yeah, so I guess
So
the smell
the
of
ground
wet
would be
dust.
rock.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. All right, never mind.
So
By the way, if anybody doesn't know, that's the smell that a street has after it rains. That very unique smell that a street has, especially
I love that you've my history of Mark so far has been so flaky that you're like, this needs some facts. It doesn't matter if they're saint facts. We just need any facts.
I feel like we're losing the audience. Maybe if I throw in some new vocab, they'll...
Wait, we losing the audience?
I'll
try harder. So basically, I'm just trying to go through the mentions of Mark in the New Testament, so we get try and build more of a picture of who he was, where he was, what he was up to. So from this mention in Paul, we know that he was probably with Paul in prison, or maybe visiting him, and that he's Barnabas's cousin, which may explain the previous feud. Paul writes another letter from prison, which is known as 2 Timothy, as in the number 2 Timothy, but I guess it was also a letter to Timothy.
It's a double, it's got a double meaning.
So in the Timothy letter, he says, "Get Mark and bring him with you, because he is helpful to me in my ministry." So the interpretation of that by scholars is that Mark then went to Rome for this, and a short time later Paul was executed. So it's likely that Mark would have witnessed that.
Okay, so but I thought Paul didn't like
Mark. I don't know, maybe, they were all Christians, right? So I guess they just forgave.
I guess so there's a portion of the story untold
that we don't know yet,
where the beef between Mark and Saul is settled.
Cooked. Yeah.
So so if I understand, Mark left his mother's house with Saul and Barnabas.
Mm-hmm.
Then at some point of their apostolating trip, he left. Then Saul and Barnabas wanted to go back and pick him up. Saul said no. So those two guys split up. Barnabas picks up Mark. They go to Cyprus. Some undisclosed point in the future, Paul and Mark are in jail.
I guess we got the 2 Timothy one, get Mark and bring him with you. That might go before Mark being in jail, because Paul's already in. At some point, Paul goes to jail. I don't know if that's in Acts. I didn't read that far into it.
Okay, I'm just trying to. I can see why this is confusing, because the timeline is just nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay, so
basically.
There's no way
it
to
gets
track.
Worse.
There's no way to track the timeline of this.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't try. There's no. I mean, I'm sure people have. I bet there's a website even more detailed than the Gemma one, but I did not care to find out.
All right. Well. All right. So
which I think is sensible.
Yeah.
Then in 1 Peter, that is meant to be a letter from Peter, not to Peter. So Peter says, "She who is in Babylon, chosen together with you, sends you her greetings, as so does my son Mark." So, but that's thought to mean that it's just an affectionate term, son, rather than Peter is Mark's dad.
I see. Okay.
But I thought it was interesting to note that Mark sends his greetings a lot.
Yeah,
it's
he's
mentioned
around
quite a few times. So yeah, it's just Mark says hi.
Mark's just trying to get them mentions, right? So he's like, hey, can you let them know I was here as well? And I also said hi. You can't write your own letter. I just feel like I was gonna write a letter, but I've been really busy.
I've been working on writing a whole gospel, so I'm kind of out of ink. Yeah. It's interesting you should say that, because another sort of identifying story of Mark is actually in the Gospel of Mark itself. So Jesus gets arrested when he's praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. And at that point, all the disciples abandon him, because even though he said 3 times that this was going to happen, I'm guessing it's 3, because it's always 3 in the Bible. They were like, shit, what's going on? And they all run away. Right. They're meant to be just really bad at paying attention. Anyway, so in the story in Mark of Jesus getting arrested, after Jesus has been taken away and everyone flees, or fled, I guess. So Jesus has been taken away, and then Mark 14 verse 50 says, "Then everyone deserted him and fled." So all the disciples fucked off. The first sign of trouble. Then verse 51 says, "A young man wearing nothing but a linen garment was following Jesus. When they seized him," and the him refers to Jesus, "he fled naked, leaving his garment behind." Now that's a very weird detail.
Yes. This is actually, I knew you were going to bring this up, because this is a detail from the book of Mark that has always stuck with me. And I was like, but go ahead. Yeah.
So if everyone's fled, no one could have known that happened unless the person telling the story was the naked guy. So yeah, so the idea, the thing you mentioned about Mark always wanting to mention that I'm here too.
Yeah,
I thought that illustrated that quite nicely.
Right. So the naked fugitive,
dramatic way of putting it.
It's like an official, like if you look on Wikipedia, there's a whole page for the naked fugitive, and yeah, it's like such a weird thing because it's like, okay, I'm writing the story of the life of Jesus. This is one of the key days in the life of Jesus. This is his final day of freedom on the earth. This is his arrest. This is everybody's reaction. There's a Last Supper in there. So like all the things you're deciding to put into this gospel, and you're just like, yeah, it's like we sat down at the Last Supper. He said, "This is my body. This is my blood."
Yeah, everything has symbolic significance.
Yeah, this all is symbolic significance. Everything's happening, and then it's like, oh yeah, and then this crazy thing happened. This naked dude ran through the party. No idea why. I mean, I can see why it would be very jarring and a weird detail, but and also none of the other gospels mention this.
Yeah. But that makes it more likely that, I say more likely. It makes it more plausible that it's him.
Yeah.
So
do you think when the other apostles read the book of Mark, they're like, this guy who ran through, like, that was you, right? It's like, I don't know. It's just some naked stranger. We don't know who that guy was. Like,
yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah.
But it would have been a good anecdote on his travels as well. Like, that girl in Pamphylia would have been like, so you met Jesus? Tell me about that time in the garden again. And he's like, yeah, I was totally naked. And,
yeah. Yeah, he's just like, I'm the guy who streaked the Last Supper. Maybe it's just like, I feel like he was
so
just like,
drunk.
Yeah, he was so drunk. He was like, he was just naked and just like grabbing his dick and just yelling at the cops like, "You'll never take me alive, you son of a bitches!" And just like, just really fucking balls to the wall.
Yeah. I think that's probably what it was.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. Okay.
So,
sorry.
yeah. No, that's okay. Those are our clues from the Bible itself as to who Mark was.
Okay. We're getting a weird picture of Mark, I think.
Yeah. Lover, traveler, streaker.
Yeah.
So,
divisive figure.
So that's what we have from the book itself, mainly. Sorry, not from the book itself, from the Bible itself.
From the Bible itself.
Yeah.
The good book, we say.
Yeah, the best. So we've also got an account or a mention of him from the early church historian Papias, or Papias, who was writing probably no later than 130 AD. And he mentions Mark being the interpreter of Peter. Whatsoever he remembered, he wrote accurately, but not, however, in the order that these things were spoken or done by our Lord. So he's saying Mark wrote a gospel, it made no sense.
Yeah. Like, he had all the details, but they were just in the wrong order.
Yeah.
So it
goes on. For he neither heard the Lord nor followed him. But afterwards, as I said, he was with Peter, who did not make a complete or ordered account of the Lord's word, but constructed his teachings according to, and then there's this Greek word, chlea, which apparently means concise, self-contained teachings, which is a bit repetitive. So that's what Papias says. So that would contradict the idea of the naked guy in the garden, but it's basically like, even in the early church, the gospel wasn't thought to have been an eyewitness account. What's relevant there. But it's interesting as well that he's said to be an interpreter of Peter.
Right. So he's like the guy who, he's not one of the inner circle of the apostles, but he's kind of like on the edge of the scene, and he's coming to all the shows, and he's a big fan, but he's not really contributing.
Also, I guess he's like, I guess it's weird because you could say he's documenting, but actually he doesn't until afterwards. So yeah, he's a secretary, but not a very helpful one, maybe.
Okay.
Another historian, Hippolytus, refers to Mark as Mark the Stump-Fingered.
Wow. Rough words from Hippolytus. Why do you just like? Why was that?
And apparently later authorities also allude to this. So another translation of stump-fingered is mutilated in the finger.
Oh, okay.
So it's been suggested that when Mark embraced Christianity, he cut off his thumb, which would make him unfit for Jewish priesthood. So as a sign that he was well on board.
Oh.
Which is weird because like the diversion from Judaism, like a lot of that is about you don't have to be circumcised.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I already am circumcised, so I may as well get another tip off my thumb.
Yeah, I mean, like, could he just say no to Jewish priesthood? Could he just be like,
no,
oh, hey, do you want to be a Jewish priest? No, I'd rather not.
Or maybe it was like, I would rather have only one thumb than be a Jewish priest.
When you said he was going to cut off his thumb, I was like, oh, maybe because he doesn't want to be conscripted into some kind of army.
Right.
But,
maybe.
But no, apparently he just doesn't want to be conscripted into the Jewish faith.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm done with this, and as a sign of that. But then also but he only cut off the one thumb,
I think so.
Because otherwise I'm like, how is he writing?
He operate the knife without.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, that has got to be embarrassing when you're like, okay, I'm going to cut off both my thumbs. Here goes number one. Oh, that hurt like the Dickens. Okay, here comes number two. Oh, shit. Well, how am I going to do this?
That's, exactly what happened. So that's one explanation.
Yeah.
The best one, I think.
Yeah. But
another...
Otherwise, it's just like, Hippolytus is like, yeah, he had little sausage fingers. Gross.
Well, yeah. So there's another natural explanation that... another possible explanation were that his fingers were just naturally stumpy.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could say, if we're being generous to Hippolytus here, you could say that he's actually like, he overcame his...
Stumpy fingered?
To write a gospel.
It's like, so in one account, he's got one thumb. And in the other account, he's got 10 thumbs. Is basically what we're saying.
Basically.
Okay, cool.
But another, I don't know why or like this citation needed here, but apparently another interpretation is that it's actually a defect in his toes that Hippolytus is alluding to. So
there's a lot of translation errors in this because it's like it might be that he has stumpy fingers or fucked up toes. We can't quite tell. However, this is the absolute word of God. No, it's this is an absolute accurate history from. Isn't Hippolytus like the first historian?
3rd century. So...
Oh, okay. I thought he was one of the first, like the first Greek historian.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean that's one of the first papers that we did for the theology degree was Greek, and it just basically is a good way of just proving you can't say that you're interpreting the Bible literally because there are some things we literally just don't know which meaning it is. Like a lot of the time, spirit and wind are used interchangeably because the word is pneumos, so like pneumatic.
Right.
And so it's like, but obviously wind is a fairly mundane thing, whereas spirit in the context of the Bible, quite important.
So a lot of people either had the Holy Spirit in them or
they were
trapped
very
wind.
Gassy. Yeah. We both went straight for the gutter there.
Yeah,
at
that
the
was
same
great.
time.
I think that was beautiful. So he's got weird fingers.
Yeah, or toes.
Or toes, whatever.
Or they're not weird, but just one's missing.
Or one's missing. Or he's mutilated himself, which is probably worse.
There's another explanation as well.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I mean, how much ink has been spilled on this guy's fucking hands? Like... What the hell?
So this one's probably the worst one as well.
Oh,
is
good.
That it's a metaphor that means deserter because he ran away from Barney and Saul on their trip.
So this is like a Greek expression. When somebody's like a coward, they say they've got stumpy fingers or something like that.
Yeah,
okay.
like spineless, I guess.
Right. Oh, I love this idea of like, oh, you stumpy fingered son of a bitch, like you coward.
Yeah, but that's why I said that one's worse. Because, like, obviously the pre-science attitudes to disabled people were pretty poor. Anyway, so yeah, that's the useful nugget that Hippolytus gives us.
Great. Thanks for nothing, Hippolytus.
You say that, but thanks for possibly the best bit of the podcast so far.
Possibly.
Who am I to say?
Guys, let us know what you think is the best part of the podcast. Just send an email at saintmisbehavenpod@gmail.com. There is no G in behaven, but there is a G in Gmail.
In Gmail. Oh, man. Have we had an email from Glenn yet?
Not yet.
Sad. But... Give it time. Maybe next year in time for St. Gemma Day. Because we put the podcast out on Gemma Day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
So he may have already been done his Gemma celebrations
like
for
to think
this year.
that he is so steeped in Gemma lore that he is just like, oh my God, somebody finally wrote some joke for me. He's like, these are things I think about all the time. You know?
What, whether he's too obsessed with her?
Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe he didn't
That's
enjoy
the
that
thing.
part
I feel
as
like
much.
our jokes are not the jokes he would make about himself.
I think, you hear about those very niche stand-ups. Like, there are people who are like, and I'm sad I didn't get in on this, but there's like an economic stand-up, or there's like a math stand-up, or there's like a guy.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of science ones.
Yeah, science ones or whatever. So maybe like, and they, you put them in a regular club and most people are like, well, okay, well, what, I have no idea what you're talking about. But you put them in front of like a scientist convention.
And they just kill.
They're killing it, right? And then maybe like, so this is like his thing is like, finally, somebody's doing all that Saint Gemma
comedy
material that I think is really hilarious. Oh, and I'm getting a little good-natured ribbing in too. Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like people who are against abortion, though, are not good-humoured about it.
Yeah, he probably was not okay with that.
Even though we agreed with him that 2-year-olds shouldn't die.
Do not, yes. Again,
God.
living children should not
of any age.
Of any age.
Yeah. So, how did we get onto that? Bloody
you were
hell.
the one who brought Glenn up again.
Oh no, it's because you said you wanted the emails, and I was like, and that reminded me to ask if we got any emails. And I feel like that's something our listeners want to know as well.
So Hippolytus, that's how we got on this.
Yeah.
So what else?
That's all Hippolytus said.
Okay, great.
But then we have tradition as well.
Okay.
Which is, the most authoritative source of history. So according to tradition, in AD 49, i.e. about 19 years after the Ascension, Mark is said to have travelled to Alexandria, which is in Egypt. And he founded the Church of Alexandria, and so was the first bishop there. And today, the Coptic Orthodox Church and the Greek Orthodox Church of Alexandria and the Coptic Catholic Church trace their origins to this original church.
Okay.
And yeah, he became the first bishop of Alexandria, and he's honoured as the founder of Christianity in Africa.
Hey, good for him.
So that's pretty big deal. So that's tradition. According to Eusebius, who wrote an ecclesiastical history, Mark was succeeded as bishop by a guy called Annianus or Annianus.
I'm going to say it's Annianus, but if you want to say Annianus.
Okay.
I feel like you just wanted to say Annianus.
Annianus will do.
Hey.
Yeah, so Mark was the bishop until Annianus succeeded him in around 62 or 63. Probably not definitely due to his coming death. I don't know what that is. But Coptic tradition says that Mark himself was martyred in 68, as we've discussed. So basically, when Mark returned to Alexandria after hanging out with Paul for a bit in Rome, so the Bible tradition and the tradition are kind of interweaving here to create this narrative. So when Mark came back from Rome to Alexandria, he was resented by the pagans in that city who thought that he was trying to turn Alexandrians away from their traditional worship.
Right.
So in 68 AD, they placed a rope around his neck and dragged him through the streets until he was dead. So that's a pretty grisly way to go.
Wait, just like on foot or like from a horse or something?
I don't know. Yeah, probably a horse.
Let's say a horse.
I mean, it was the time of the Roman Empire, wasn't it? And that was the kind of thing that they did. So
was Alexandria a Roman city?
Good question.
Was
Yeah, it was a Roman province of Egypt. There we go.
There you go.
So yeah, maybe their methods of martyring people were influenced by that.
I'm going to say it was a chariot then. Okay, so they drag him around the town by the neck until dead. I feel like
not a good way to go.
Not a great way to go. Hanging is bad. I feel like, was it because there just weren't trees? I feel like, is it like a lot of palm trees in Egypt? That's what I think
He probably said that when he found out that was his sentence. He'd be like, guys, we got a load of trees.
A tree?
Why is this necessary?
Well, I guess it's a mob, right? So the mob got him. I guess it is just kind of mob violent, which is not usually all that well thought out. The way that a mob...
But I guess the thing is, it's like...
Get the rope, and then neck, and then go with him. Do the thing. I don't know.
Let's tie it to a camel. Yeah,
be him dead.
I guess...
He be dead now. That's how a mob thinks.
That's how a mob talks as well. Yeah. Matthew Shadorn, the physical incarnation of a mob.
That's my thing. I'm a mob stand-up. I go out and I'm like, I'm a stand-up, but only to mobs. And I do a lot of relatable
and everyone,
material.
rather than laughing, is like,
get a rope. And I'm like, no, wait.
we have trees. I guess the thing is, like, when you are hanged, your neck breaks quite quickly.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, but in general, I think. Whereas the Romans, I think, were more into kind of more slow, cruel, torturous methods of killing.
I guess they were into
like
crucifixion. Yeah.
So that's what we know about Saint Mark. In his life. However, most serious scholars agree that the Gospel of Mark is anonymous and that authorship was attached to this guy to make it more authoritative.
But he wasn't, like, why not attach it to an actual apostle?
I don't know. Well, because none of the others were. Like Luke, Matthew, Mark, like none of them were apostles. But they were the point is, I guess, he was still a well-known figure. Like, his mum was, the church accommodation manager, I guess. Right. And his cousin was Barnabas, who I want to say Barnabas was one of the 12.
Simon Peter, Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, Simon, Thaddeus, James, and Judas.
Oh, so no Barnabas. I don't know.
No, no, I don't know. Yeah.
The point is that there were 12, and they were like the best ones, but there were also like loads of other disciples.
Right. Yeah, I think, there's actually, we think of 12 apostles, but then it's like, actually there's like 70 apostles.
Yeah.
They were just 12 disciples.
So I think Mark was meant to be one of the 70.
Yeah, okay. So he's in the extended. So that's
still fairly authoritative.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Anyway, so one of the things is that in Mark, Jesus predicts the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, which happened in 70 AD. So if we assume that wouldn't have been relevant to the gospel unless it had actually happened, Mark couldn't have died in 68.
So they were like, oh, we're making a retroactive prediction. Okay, I see. Okay.
So unless that was because, Mark's a saint, unless that was one of his miracles.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any material on Mark's miracles, so I'm like, anything I can find, I'm like, we're counting that as a miracle. So that's one of the things that makes the timeline more confused.
I see. So you're saying, okay, so it almost certainly was written after he died by somebody else.
After this guy Mark, yeah. But yeah.
After Mark died, I should say. Not after Jesus died. Well, it all happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe whoever wrote it anonymously called it Mark to associate it with Saint Mark.
Right. I mean, it's that thing where it's like, my name's not going to sell this gospel.
Yeah,
but if I attach Mark's name to the gospel.
Basically, Mark had a ghostwriter.
Yeah, okay.
But they didn't iron out the details well enough to cover the fraud. Sure. We know that Mark, or whoever wrote Mark, was probably Jewish because of the terminology he used in the story. So, Son of Man and Messiah are both things that come from the Old Testament. And the gospel was probably written to strengthen the faith of people who already believed, rather than convert new people in response to the community being persecuted. It's a message to the community to stay strong in their faith and stuff. So a typical example of this, Jesus says, "Truly I tell you," Jesus replied, "no one who has left home or brothers or sisters or mother or father or children or fields for me and the gospel will fail to receive 100 times as much in this present age. Homes, brothers, sisters, mothers, children and fields, along with persecutions, and in the age to come, eternal life."
It sounds like a pyramid scam. It's like a really big...
It definitely was.
It's like like the payoff feels a bit too high for what I'm investing here.
If you convert 50 people, you get eternal life.
Yeah. Oh, if you sacrifice a child, I'll give you 100 children. It's like, wait, no, that's not. But then the thing is, this is the whole problem I have with the Book of Job. I think on the Book of Job. So.
Well, also Abraham and Isaac, right?
Yeah.
Pyramid scheme.
So the Book of Mark, it's written very much of the time and to the theological issues of the time, which was basically
not even the theological issues and the kind of community,
the social issues. Yeah. But just because like the main thing we're worried about now is like losing people because might get murdered by the state. Yeah. And they're like, hey, no, hang out, 100 times better stuff.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, I just like, I mean, at this point, they feel like a desperate salesman. They're just promising anything. It's like,
I mean, who would want 100 brothers?
No,
I've got one, and that's more than enough. You've got one. That's more than enough.
Fine. Yeah. I could use another. Maybe I'd roll the dice on another.
Fair.
I mean, no.
100 children, that's a fucking nightmare as well.
Nightmare, yeah. I mean, I think the whole thing, yeah, so.
But then I guess you've got eternal life, so you've got more time to devote to each child.
I mean, what do you do with eternal life? You know, it's like then you just have a kid every 100 years or so. And you're just like, yeah, I'll just do this for a few years.
A kid for every 100 years, 100 times. So that takes you to 10,000.
Right. But, you know, but it's eternity, so it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Are there any relics for Mark?
Hang on.
Sorry.
Don't rush me here. Just one more thing on the gospel itself.
Okay.
So for a long time, Mark is, I think, the shortest gospel. And for a long time, it was believed that it was like an abridged version of the other two that tell the same story, which is known as the synoptic gospels, which are Matthew and Luke, because John's just completely different. But in the Victorian times, they figured out that because Matthew and Luke had embellishments and extra details, but they all had the same structure and narrative, it was more likely that Mark was an earlier version that they then expanded. And so either Mark was the source of the other two, or they all shared a common source. Oh, also, do you want to hear my favourite story from Mark?
Yes. sorry. I was looking.
You hesitated there.
I'm sorry. I was typing in gospel.
Okay. Fair enough. It sounded like you did not want to hear my favourite story.
No, what is it?
Okay. The next day, as they were leaving Bethany, which is a place, not a lady, Jesus was hungry. Seeing in the distance...
See you later, Bethany. Thanks for letting us stay.
Oh, God. Jesus was hungry.
Oh, yes,
Seeing
I know what
in
you're
the
gonna say,
distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season for figs. Then he said to the tree, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again."
Yeah.
And that's my favourite story, because if you are God incarnate and you can do anything, and you're also meant to be like, you know, the personification of love and reasonableness, you don't say to figs, "If I can't have you, no one can." That is like, that's sanctioning all kinds of toxic masculinity and just bollocks. But anyway,
I also love
my favourite story because it's one of those classic ones that, you know, no one who would say that they take the Bible seriously.
Right.
you could be like, well, what about that fig shit?
You know, number one, in his defense, he was hungry, and we all
we all get a bit cranky when we're hungry.
Yeah, I think it's like, he was really hungry. I mean, I feel like I've been like that too. I've like opened the fridge and there's nothing in there I want to eat. And I'm just like, you fucking fridge.
Yeah, but you don't then unplug the fridge.
Don't then throw the fridge out on the lawn. And my wife's like, "Where's the fridge?" I'm like, "Well, I couldn't find any food in there, and so nobody gets to use the fucking fridge." I mean, also the Bible makes a point of saying it's not in season.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like he went to the fig tree in winter, and he's just like, well, what the fuck?
Also, okay, this could have been a potential for a way better miracle as well, because he could have just made the fig tree give him figs even though it wasn't in season. That would have been better.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, if he'd have said, "Oh, through the power of God, I've made this tree bloom and grow fruit, and I fed these masses that are following me around because we were all hungry or whatever."
Using his power for good rather than chaos.
Yeah, rather than being like, "You know what, go fuck yourself."
Oh, it gets better. So later in the story,
he's like,
they go
"Get
back
me
to
an
the
axe.
tree.
Get me a fucking axe! Don't you fucking look at me! You get me a goddamn axe! I'm gonna cut down this goddamn tree."
Which is why Mark had to then take his loincloth off, you know, just to calm him down.
This is like one of those Snickers commercials, and then one of the apostles is like, "Jesus, you need a Snickers."
So they go back to the fig tree the next day, and they saw that the fig tree had withered. And Peter remembered what Jesus said, and he said, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree you cursed has withered."
He's like, "Yeah, fuck that tree."
Yeah, well, basically. So Jesus answers, "Have faith in God. Truly, I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes what they say will happen, it will be done for them. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours." Which, again, very pyramid scheme.
Yeah, just what? Okay, so he's basically saying, through the power of prayer, I can destroy you can destroy any tree you want, or just level mountains, which are useful.
Also, putting them in the sea, that's not good for like the sea level, probably the ecosystem.
Do you know
there.
you know that you've heard of like a super tsunami?
But you haven't heard of a Jesus tsunami.
No, I mean, this is a real thing. So it's like, so you have tsunamis that are often caused by underground earthquakes. But if an object of sufficient mass falls into a body of water, it creates an even greater wave that can just be extremely more powerful, much more dangerous. And so if you dropped a mountain into the ocean, whoever's on the other side of that ocean gets royally fucked. Yeah. So don't pray for that. I'm gonna say don't. Anyways.
Okay, so this is not a good story.
It's not one of Jesus's best stories.
Not his finest hour.
Again, hungry. I think he's just hungry. I think the real lesson here is, hey, eat before you get on the road. You know, he should have, when he was at Bethany.
Don't leave Bethany without some food.
When Bethany was like, hey, you want some breakfast before you go? And then he's like, nah, I'm not really hungry.
And the disciples are like, seriously, please insist.
Yeah, no, it's like, he's like, I had a cup of coffee. I'm okay. And then it's just like, you know, you get on the road a few minutes and then all of a sudden, you know, your blood sugar drops and you're fucking yelling at trees. And, you know, it's like, it happens to all of us. Anyways.
It's very true. My other favourite story from Mark that I like to wheel out because it's just a great story about how hypocritical Christians are is from chapter 10, starts verse 17. Jesus started on his way, and a man ran up to him, fell on his knees before him and said, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" But basically the man says, I've kept all the 10 commandments since I was a boy. So Jesus looked at him and loved him. Which I think means, like, felt sorry for him. He didn't, like, you know, shag him.
It's just like their eyes met and then, like,
and then Mark's loincloth definitely fell off.
The music swelled and they ran towards each other in slow motion and, you know.
Yeah, none of that happened, as far as we know. I mean, I guess the early Christians wouldn't have put that in if it had.
Right, it wasn't
because
cliche,
they were repressed. So, anyway, one thing you lack, he said. Go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. At this, the man's face fell. He went away sad because he was very rich. Jesus looked around and said to his disciples, "How hard it is for the rich to enter the kingdom of God." The disciples were amazed at his words, but Jesus said again, "Children, how hard it is to enter the kingdom of God. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God."
Yeah.
So the people who say they take the Bible literally conveniently never take this bit literally.
Yeah. This is, you're familiar with prosperity gospel?
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea that, for anybody who's listening, it's the idea that Christians, especially in America, have, which is like, I'm rich because I'm chosen by God to be rich. And so it's okay for me to be as rich as I want, to flaunt that and whatever, and basically be a rich dick forever.
And
so I don't know how...
If other Christians want to get into heaven, they also have to contribute to me being rich.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah. Well, actually, somebody pointed this out to me. I think there's an Instagram account called Preachers and Sneakers, where people take pictures of preachers, like these mega church preachers, and will like Google the clothes they're wearing. So they'll so like it's all these. It's basically this. Somebody who's like a sneakerhead was just like, oh, those are $1,000 Jordans that guy is preaching in front of this. And so they went and they found this, like, you know, these guys, and they're just like in, you know, $600 or $700 shoes, $1,000 pairs of pants, which I'm like, how did you spend $1,000? Those are track pants, dude. Why did they cost $1,000? It's amazing. So it's amazing. Check that out. Preachers and Sneakers is, I think, what it's called.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Cool. Great.
Yeah.
We should get one of them on as a guest on the podcast.
Absolutely. So whatever. Book of Mark, 2 stars.
So, I mean, the fig tree story kind of cancels out the camel needle story, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was Mark. Writer, lover, fighter, who knows, traveller. Guy who was just there and wanted to be included.
Big fan of
Jesus' work. Okay, so presumably died in Alexandria, right?
Right. All over Alexandria, apparently.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah. Apart from his thumb, we don't know where that is. So, in 828, relics believed to be the body of St. Mark was stolen from Alexandria, which at the time was controlled by the Abbasid Caliphate, by 2 Venetian merchants with the help of 2 Greek monks. I like the 2x2, that's fun. And taken to Venice. A mosaic in St. Mark's Basilica, which is the basilica of this very saint that we're talking about, depicts sailors covering the relics with a layer of pork so that the Muslims in charge guard could not inspect what they were carrying because obviously Muslims are prohibited from
that
eating
feels racist. Also, if they were inspecting pork, you'd think they'd have like a pork poking stick or something like that, so they could like look under.
No, they didn't inspect anything, but then they'd be like, "Oh, pork, no thanks." I guess. Which there must have been a lot of stuff hidden in pork.
That's what I'm saying. Like the first couple times you lose relics via pork smuggling, you feel like you get the pork stick out, and then you're like, okay.
Which is, I hope, not a euphemism.
No, you're just like, no, I'm saying like you just get yourself like a stick and you can lift up pork or, like move it around so you don't have to touch it yourself. Also, gloves exist. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, but what are gloves made of? Other animal skin.
Fair.
That's just too much.
I guess they didn't have rubber gloves then.
Yeah,
so.
You did forget that. So anyway, I think this is the heist of the 9th century, is this pork smuggling.
It's Ocean's 4 because there's just 4 of them.
So that's the story of his relics.
Okay.
There's also celebrations on St. Mark's Day, which is today. Do you want to hear about those?
Yes.
Okay, today, St. Mark's Day is celebrated around the world. In Mexico, it's known as the Feria Nacional de San Marcos. Thank you. It's a national fair. It's a national fair held in the Mexican state of Aguascalientes every year for 3 or sometimes 4 weeks. So this is a big deal.
Is today the first day or the last?
It happens around this day. It changes every year.
So So this is just like a county fair, or like the national fair, or like the state fair?
Yeah, it used to be tied to harvesting grapes, and I guess St. Mark's Day would be the appropriate point in spring at which to do that. But nowadays it's a tourist attraction, and something like 7 million people visit every year.
That sounds fun.
To witness bullfighting and cockfighting.
Oh, that sounds less fun.
Less fun.
I was like, yay, it's probably like carnival rides and churros.
Yeah, no.
It's probably still carnival rides and churros.
Yeah, with a lot of bloodshed thrown in.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a shame also from an animal rights perspective and otherwise that the cockfighting is not the kind of which Mark would approve, because he would have definitely approved of a certain type of cockfighting. If the thing about shedding his garment is to be believed.
Sure. We all get what you're saying.
Sorry, I won't labour the point then next time. Well, I will, probably, knowing me. Anyway, so that's Mexico with their fair. In Italy, the 25th of April is a national holiday, but not because of St. Mark. It's actually the liberation of Italy from the Nazi fascists in World War II. So 25th of April 1945. But I think it's nice that our chosen saint has their day on an anti-fascist day.
Yeah, that's good. It's canonically anti-fascist. Mark, Mark.
No thumbs, no hate. That was his motto.
That's what he would always say.
In Sardinia, in Tres Norajes, I don't even know.
Let's just say Sardinia.
Okay. In the small village of Tres Norajes, a traditional Sardinian feast is held on St. Mark's Day. And local shepherd families in this predominantly pastoral community offer sheep and oversee cooking them in a gesture of thanks to Providence. So other families then offer bread as Thanksgiving or for favours desired. So back to the pyramid scheme vibes.
Well, it's just like you can buy favours with bread. It's like...
Yeah, God loves bread and money. That's what he wants.
It's like, officer, you could maybe not give me this ticket if I give you this bit of sourdough here. I've got this baguette says I wasn't speeding.
Yes, dirty cops and their carbs. So hundreds of people, mostly from this village, but also from around, eat and drink until the point of satiation together. So I like that.
That's how most people eat and drink, though. So
yeah, I guess you could view it as until you're satisfied or until you can't take any more.
Right.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. So that's beyond the point. So it's kind of like Sardinian Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
With lots of lamb instead of turkey.
And bread.
And bread. Well, lamb and bread.
Yeah. Lamb sandwiches.
Well, the bread is just for bribes.
That's true. Bride bread. And then in Venice, which is a big Mark town.
Mark is so big in Venice.
He's huge in Venice.
Yeah, I mean, like kind of obscure other places, but like in Venice, it's weird.
He's huge. Yeah. There's the Rosebud Festival, takes place in St. Mark's Square in Venice. So, because Mark is the patron saint of Venice. And on this day, traditionally at the Rosebud Festival, men give a single rosebud to the women they love.
Aww.
And according to legend, this tradition originates in the 8th century, which is weird because Mark's relics didn't arrive until the 9th century. But anyway, a man of low social standing is said to have fallen in love with a noblewoman in Venice, and in order to win her father's approval, he became involved in a distant war. He was mortally wounded, but managed to pluck a rose from a nearby rosebush for his loved one, and then entrusted a companion to return with the blood-stained rose to his lover. So that's what the Rosebud Festival is all about. I don't know what connection that has to Mark. Yeah. It's a great knockoff Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so this is Italian Valentine's Day.
Italian Times Day.
Yay.
Oh dear. There was also a custom in England in the 17th to late 19th centuries.
But after that, they just gave it up. They were like, the 20th century is right around the corner. We need to give this shit up.
We're modernising, yeah. So it was a festival on St. Mark's Eve, where in villages in England, people would sit in the church porch at the village and they had to keep silent, and a bell would toll between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. So for 2 hours in very early spring, when it's definitely still quite chilly at night, you had to sit for 2 hours while some bells tolled. But in Yorkshire, they did this for 3 days rather than just one.
Ooh, wait, the bell didn't toll for 3 days. They sat there from 11 to 1 for 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
this is the worst festival ever. Let's sit in silence.
The sitting
in
the cold festival, yeah. But it gets better. It gets better, to be fair.
Okay, because right now it's you sit in silence in the cold and the dark and listen to a bell ring.
But what if there were ghosts?
Okay, I'm listening.
I knew you'd come around. So yeah, in Yorkshire it lasted 3 days, and on the third sitting it was said that the ghosts of those who were going to die during the year would be witnessed passing into the church. So they're not just ghosts, they're future ghosts that are predicting people's deaths.
So wait, you could, so theoretically you could see your own ghost? Ugh. All right, that's pretty.
They don't talk about that enough in the Visit Yorkshire tourism.
Yeah, I've been to Yorkshire a number of times.
You've never seen yourself as a ghost.
I've never bothered to stay up that late in Yorkshire, I don't think.
That's true. Well, don't. That'd be my advice.
Some things are better off not knowing. Right?
Left unseen. Yeah. So this took place throughout England, but was most prevalent in the northern and western counties. Some accounts said that the watchers must also be fasting, so that might explain the ghosts if they're not eating.
You shouldn't eat that late anyways. I mean, that's bad for your
That's true. It's quite an easy fast to keep.
Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah.
But then again, I find if you're staying up late, you need more food just to keep going, like to stay awake.
Maybe.
When I used to do all-nighters at uni, we would like eat at various intervals throughout the night.
Oh, yeah, but you're in college then. You can just eat whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yeah, it's true.
It's different. But at the same time, they're not doing while they're sitting there. They're just sitting there
hallucinating
from
basically,
hunger. Succumbing to hypothermia.
So the ghosts of those who were to die soon would be the first to be observed, whereas those who would last almost the rest of the year would not be witnessed until nearly 1 a.m, which makes sense, chronological. Other variations of the superstition say that the watchers would see headless or rotting corpses or coffins approaching.
Coffins approaching. That's just funny. I just meant like a coffin kind of rocking back and forth, kind of walking.
Yeah. Another tradition holds that a young woman can see the face of her future husband appear on her smock by holding it before the fire on St. Mark's Eve. You don't...
Wait.
That's why you can't have a fire on the steps of the church, because you might otherwise get confused. Like, is this man going to die or is he going to marry me? I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe both. That would be a bummer.
That would suck, actually.
It's like, oh, that face on your smock, it looks like that guy who came by earlier as a ghost. Like, damn it.
Anyway, that's all the ways to celebrate St. Mark.
Well, they're all pretty lame.
You say that, but I know you want to see a walking coffin.
I don't want it. That's the last thing I want to see. Actually, no, I take that back. They're all great except for Britain, because in Mexico is like a great festival.
So you'd rather see chickens fighting to the death than maybe see your own ghost.
I'm telling you, if I Google the National Fair of St. Mark, the National
Feria Nacional de Santo Marcos, yeah.
Thank you. I bet the first Google image is of a Ferris wheel. And so I'm going to say that it's probably a really fun fair.
Right.
That probably has less and less cockfighting every year.
You'd hope.
You'd hope. And then Rose Festival.
It does look pretty good, actually. I just Googled it.
Yeah,
it's
thank you.
Well, I mean, it looks good because we've been in lockdown for over a year and there's just like loads of crowds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes, I'm there.
And there's
it
like
looks fun.
Food stalls.
Oh, and there is a Ferris wheel.
Thank
Damn it!
you. Yeah.
Oh, you
and yeah, and then Venice has, you give people roses. That's nice. You have a big meal in Sardinia. I'm saying
Listen, there's just nothing to do in England.
Yeah,
okay?
England is just really fucking dull, and I can see why this died out. Like in the beginning of at the end of the 19th century, they're like, no, like just fucking forget
Stop
it.
making the effort.
Yeah, it's like,
fair.
we're gonna do what again? No, you know what? I'm done with this.
Yeah, I can see that.
On the off chance of maybe seeing my own ghost, no, thank you. Anyway.
What about that walking coffin?
That is the last thing I want to see either. I think that none of these
So you're saying if we do a Saint Misbehaving field trip / live episode from a saint celebration,
we'll do a 2-hour episode from 11 to 1 a.m. on St. Mark's Day in Yorkshire. Yeah.
Until Matthew is traumatized by his own future imminent death.
Yeah.
I'm in. Where do I sign up?
I can see that I'm going to die every time I look in the mirror, okay? I don't need that thrown in my face. Anyway.
Again, yeah, fair enough. Well, on that note, can you guess what Mark's patronages are? And I'm going to tell you right now, you will not guess all of them.
There's a lot? That's exciting. Is he the patron saint of thumbs?
Evil. You went straight for the cruel one.
Sorry.
No patron saint of thumbs.
Is he the patron saint of like super fans? Just like big fans? Or is he the patron saint of people who like are at the edge of a scene but not really a participant in the scene in a town?
He is the patron saint of notaries. So kind of, I guess.
I guess they need that.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's fair. He signed off on all the biblical stuff.
All the gospel, yeah. He's also apparently the patron saint of attorneys, barristers, and lawyers.
Okay.
So covered all the legal bases.
Yeah, so all the synonyms are done.
Yeah. But also, weirdly, of captives and imprisoned people, which, you know.
He did spend some time in jail with Saul, right?
Yeah.
And he got out somehow, so
he's the one to follow if you are a captive. Yeah. So he's a patron saint against struma, which is a weird disease that's an enlargement of the tissue in the thyroid. So he's the patron saint against struma, and also he's the patron saint of struma patients.
Wait, struma?
Yeah. So
is
if you've got struma, he's got your back.
But is struma like, I don't know, gout or something that people just don't get anymore? Is it like a weird...
Maybe. But people get gout.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, not gout. I don't know.
Scurvy.
Scurvy, yeah. Like, or, rickets. Like, is it one of those diseases that, like, was an issue
when
before...
people didn't know science? Yeah. Possibly. Because I don't think it's a real common thing now.
Struma.
Struma. Struma.
All right, whatever. Well, I guess if that comes up.
Yeah. If you suddenly get that, you know who to pray to. He's the patron saint against insect bites.
Oh, handy.
Which is handy. I guess when he was traveling, you don't want to get bitten by stuff.
Yeah.
He's the patron saint of glaziers and stained glass workers. Don't know why or how that's relevant.
Glaze? Wait, so glass?
Yeah, glass makers, I guess. People who put windows in. Any more guesses?
Is he the patron saint of like nepotism? Because it seems like he was just like cousins with his cousin and his mom were like in, and they was.
No, sadly not.
Is he the patron saint of neckties?
Oh wow!
See, it could get worse. It could get worse.
Yeah, that was bad.
All right. No, what is he
he's a patron against impenitence. Which I had to look up what that was.
Okay, good.
And unfortunately, Google was like, did you mean impotence? And I got a load of ads that were telling me that I'm not alone.
A lot of pop-ups.
Yeah. Hey!
That wasn't even trying there.
impenitence is just like
not being humble
not
before God.
Yeah, or like not regretting doing bad things.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, he's the patron against that. He's also, I've no idea why, the patron saint of lions, which I think is brilliant. Like, I didn't realise that lions, like the animals, could have a patron saint of them.
Oh no, because his traditional symbol is the lion. Yeah. Which that again is not explained, is it? By anything in his yeah. But it's like the four gospels for some reason it's like the lamb, the lion, the eagle, and the man. Mm-hmm. And for some reason there's an animal associated with each of the four gospels, and for some reason his is the lion. And I have no idea why.
No idea. Sorry, I couldn't get to the bottom of that.
Okay.
But regardless of that being his symbol or not, the fact he's also their patron saint. Because what about Saint Abba, who we have like stories of having spent time with it? Was it Abba, the one in the desert?
No, I think that was...
Made friends with all the animals?
It was Saint Anthony the Great.
Anthony the Great. And
Anthony the Great, yeah.
Abba was just the guy in the boat who loved karaoke, right?
Yeah.
So Saint Anthony the Great should have been the patron saint of lions and other hallucinations in the desert.
Sure.
That's almost it. Apart from he's also the patron saint of loads of places.
Oh yeah,
Egypt, as we found in his story.
Sure.
Arica, which is a diocese in Chile.
Okay.
Or Chile, as Cortona in Italy. A place called Infanta in the Philippines.
That's where they make Fanta.
Yep, that's it. The Ionian Islands in Greece.
Cyprus?
No, even though he went there. That's weird. Arezzo, Cortona, San Sepolcro in Italy.
So just a ton of places in it, but not Venice.
Yeah, and 50 other places in Italy.
Yeah, okay. There we go.
The most famous of which is Venice.
Yeah, okay.
But as well as Venice in Italy, he's also the patron saint of Venice in Florida.
Oh, that makes sense.
Does it?
I think so.
I guess if you're going to name places after other places, then you'd all have the same patron saint.
You get the same patron saint, yeah. I think that makes sense. Is he also the patron saint of Venice Beach in Los Angeles?
Not according to CatholicSaints.info, but maybe.
They could use a saint. That place is
I mean, it sounds like he's got quite a lot of patronages to be getting on with, you know. Mm-hmm. There's 50 locations in Italy.
It's hard
plus
to get
all
around.
The other places.
Yeah. I mean,
and then
even
all the streamer patients he's got to look after as well.
Which
on top
I
of
think
that.
is not an issue.
Yeah, but it's a convenient excuse. Like, someone will be like, oh, can you help me with this insect bite? Oh, sorry, I'm up to my eyes in streamer patients.
Yeah. I am in Venice, Florida this week. It's a mess down there. I gotta go. So, okay. So those are good. I mean, so he's covering a lot of ground, quite literally.
Yes.
So they're keeping him busy, St. Mark. So that's good for him.
Yes.
Great way
he finally found enough to do.
Yeah.
Having just been the guy on the side the whole time.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, if you write a gospel, because like we don't know much about whether he did any miracles or anything, but I think if you write a gospel, that just qualifies you to have so many patronages.
I think this is that thing we talked about before, where it's just like it was like the first 1,000 Christians just all got to be saints.
Yeah,
you know, they were just like they got the door prize for just being.
But not only that, but he also got like all these extra patronages.
Yeah. So he's pretty busy.
Yeah, pretty.
I think
privileged.
it's a mark of respect.
Mark.
Oh yeah, I'm not even making jokes. I'm just trying to talk. That is just how.
I know.
Funny.
I'm just really encouraging you.
That's how funny I am. I'm just.
Just did it by accident.
Yeah. So Anna, do you think you'd ever have Saint Mark intercede for you?
He sounds pretty controversial, to be honest.
Does he?
I feel like if I was in an argument and I got him to intercede, he'd just make it worse. Like with that beef between Barney and Saul.
Yeah.
And because he's writing everything down. I think he's a bit of a gossip. Like with the whole and then I took my loincloth off,
And then somebody got naked. Who do you think it was? Was it this cheeky little scamp?
So yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced. Also, who even was he? We don't even know who he is.
We don't know a lot about him. Despite knowing a lot about him, I don't feel like we got any real concrete information.
I did a lot of research, but I got very little facts.
But that's not your fault. I think that's just the nature of who he is. And then I think
that
and then the one achievement that is he's most famous for doing is not done by him. So it's so like the Gospel of Mark, quote unquote Mark.
Yeah. And he's not even the patron saint of people who have ghostwriters.
Yeah, he should be the patron saint of ghostwriters. We should put that in
No, whoever actually wrote it would be the patron saint of ghostwriters.
That's true, but we don't know who that is. They're not.
That's true. Which is what they would have wanted, presumably.
Well, yeah, I don't think I do. Well, I guess if I was like insect bites suck, so So
Okay.
if I needed to deal with insect bite, I feel like I would get Mark. Or if I
And
felt like I was
prisoners, as we said, he was quite ineffective.
Oh yeah, if I was in prison, I feel like I'd be praying to whoever I could get.
True.
But also if there were insects in there, that's a whole thing. I think those probably
Oh
go
God.
hand.
I mean, maybe olden day prisons also had stained glass. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah,
In the windows.
you'd be lucky. All right. Well, thanks, Anna, for all your amazing research.
Oh, thanks.
I'm sorry that St. Mark
let
sucks.
me down.
Yeah. It's really Mark's problem, not yours.
But he has a lot of parties, to be fair.
Yeah.
I do think we should investigate these celebrations.
These
more
celebrations
closely.
sound pretty good. I think we should do definitive rankings of best saint celebrations as we start finding more.
We could do a ranking. It could be like top trumps. You got like a score for miracles, a score for patronages,
Exactly.
a score for celebrations. We should definitely do this. We could actually print them, and then that could be a Patreon reward as well.
Yeah.
Like you get these little cards.
Saint top trumps.
Yes.
How many patrons they have? I mean,
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, let's do it.
All
How
right.
exciting.
Wow, well, that's a lot of work.
I got a project.
Great.
Something to keep me off the streets, you know?
Yes, that's the important thing. But I thought moving out to the suburbs was keeping up this week. So, yes, thanks again, Anna. And I really appreciate all of your
Thank
hard
you
work.
for appreciating it. And
Yes.
have a blessed day.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.